The Legion of Doom is one of the most dangerous supervillain teams ever assembled, and every single member was chosen for a reason. From unkillable zombies to evil supermen to a gorilla who can control your mind, today I'm breaking down every core member of the Legion and exactly what makes them so terrifying, starting with the one who refuses to stay dead, Solomon Grundy. Every supervillain team needs a wrecking ball, and Solomon Grundy is the scariest kind there is, because you literally cannot break it. Here's his deal. Back in the late 19th century, a wealthy Gotham merchant named Cyrus Gold was murdered and dumped in Slaughter Swamp. That should have been the end of the story. But 50 years later, Cyrus clawed his way out as a massive, rotting zombie with zero memory of who he used to be. No name, no past, no personality, just rage and an insane amount of strength. The locals named him after the old nursery rhyme, Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, which sounds almost cute until you realize the rhyme is about a man's entire life cycle from birth to burial, and that's exactly what Grundy does. He dies, he comes back, he dies again, he comes back again. Every single time. And here's where it gets ridiculous. At peak strength, this guy trades punches with Superman. Bullets, bombs, missiles, lasers, fire, extreme cold. None of it puts him down. He doesn't need food, water, or oxygen. Even the original Green Lantern's power ring struggled to affect him because Grundy's body is partially composed of swamp vegetation that the ring couldn't properly target. But the real nightmare is the regeneration. Destroy his body completely, and he'll just reform through Slaughter Swamp's mystical energy, often stronger than before. There is no permanent solution to Solomon Grundy. He is, by every definition, unkillable. So why isn't he running the Legion of Doom? Because he's dumb. Genuinely, profoundly below average intellect. He can be outsmarted by basically anyone with a plan and a calm voice, which is exactly why Lex Luthor loves him. You don't need a genius when you need a battering ram. Point Grundy at a problem and physics handles the rest. That's his role in the Legion. Pure directed chaos. Not the smartest weapon in the room, but the most eternal. But if you think an unkillable zombie is bad, wait until you meet the broken copy of Superman who does everything backwards. Bizarro. Bizarro is one of the most fascinating and genuinely tragic members of the Legion of Doom, because he has the power of a god and the mind of a broken mirror. He's an imperfect clone of Superman, originally created back in 1958 when Professor Dalton's defective duplicating ray hit Superboy and produced something that looked like Superman if you sculpted him out of wet chalk and then dropped him down a flight of stairs. His skin is this multifaceted crystalline compound, gray and crumbled like old stone, and unlike Superman, he doesn't need the sun. He's completely self-sustaining. No solar radiation required, just pure, unfiltered chaos running on its own battery. Here's where it gets genuinely weird though. Bizarro operates on completely inverted logic. Good is bad. Hello means goodbye. Me, I'm going to kill you actually translates to I will save you, which sounds funny until you realize what that means in practice. His reversed morality means every time he tries to be a hero, he causes catastrophic harm. Every time he tries to help, people get hurt. He's not evil. He literally cannot understand reality correctly. He's a being with Superman-level strength who thinks destroying a building is a nice thing to do for the people inside, and his powers are inverted too. Instead of heat vision, he's got freeze vision. Instead of freeze breath, he shoots flames from his mouth. He's invulnerable to bullets, bombs, missiles, lasers, basically everything you could throw at a conventional enemy. The only thing that can actually kill him is blue kryptonite, which is itself an imperfect duplicate of green kryptonite. And the only material blue kryptonite can't penetrate? Imperfect lead. Because of course it is. Everything about this guy is a broken photocopy of something else. But here's the detail that makes Bizarro genuinely terrifying rather than just absurd. Some narratives suggest he's actually physically stronger than Superman. Not equal, stronger, but his fractured mind prevents him from ever accessing that full potential. Imagine having more raw power than the most powerful hero on Earth and being too mentally shattered to use it properly. That's not funny. That's devastating. For the Legion of Doom, Bizarro is essentially a second nuclear option alongside Grundy, except this one might accidentally detonate on your own team. His unpredictability makes him a devastating asset when pointed in the right direction, but his inverted logic means he can just as easily work against the Legion's strategy while genuinely believing he's helping. Lex Luthor has to manage him like a loaded weapon with no safety, because one misunderstood command and Bizarro does the exact opposite of what you needed. But if Bizarro is a weapon weapon you can barely aim, the next member is a weapon that aims itself, and it's pointed directly at one man's throat, Black Manta. Black Manta is the most human member on this entire list, and that's exactly what makes him terrifying. No magic ring, no alien DNA, no mystical curse. Just a traumatized kid who grew up to build himself into a nightmare. His real name is David Hyde, created by Bob Haney and Nick Cardy. He first showed up in Aquaman number 35 back in September 1967 as Aquaman's arch-nemesis. But here's the thing. For decades after that debut, nobody knew anything about him. Zero backstory, zero motivation, just a guy in a terrifying helmet who really wanted Aquaman dead. DC didn't bother giving him an origin story until 1992, a full 25 years after his first appearance. He was basically a walking question mark with plasma cannons. When DC finally gave him that origin, it was brutal. David was kidnapped as a child near the Chesapeake Bay and enslaved by pirates. During his captivity, he spotted Aquaman swimming freely through the ocean and desperately signaled for help. Aquaman never noticed, never came, never even looked his way. That single moment of being ignored by a hero turned a scared kid's hope into a lifelong obsession with revenge. Which is, not ideal. But DC wasn't done refining that emotional core. The New 52 gave him a different origin with the exact same theme. In this version, Aquaman's adoptive father, Thomas, died during a confrontation with Manta. Arthur, consumed by grief, tracked down those responsible and accidentally killed Black Manta's biological father. Two men, each convinced the other murdered their dad, locked in a cycle of vengeance that neither one can break. Genuinely tragic from both sides. Without the suit, Manta is already dangerous. Enhanced strength, advanced martial arts, genius-level intellect. He's a precision instrument compared to the blunt force of Grundy or Bizarro, but the suit is where things get ridiculous. Outfitted with Atlantean technology, it handles crushing deep ocean pressure, full aquatic respiration, and powerful plasma energy blasts fired from the helmet's eye portions that can literally burn Atlantean flesh. On top of that, he carries a trident, a harpoon gun, long knives, and a jetpack for underwater propulsion. The man basically turned himself into a one-person submarine with anger issues. His singular obsession with destroying Aquaman is both his greatest strength and his biggest liability within the Legion. He'll execute any mission flawlessly, but the second Arthur Curry enters the picture, broader objectives go straight out the window. Lex Luthor could have a perfectly good plan to destabilize the Justice League, and Manta would derail the whole thing to chase Aquaman through a coral reef. That's what happens when your entire identity is built on a hero who didn't look down. And if you think a guy fueled by personal vendetta is intense, wait until you meet someone powered by a literal god's curse. Cheetah. Most people hear Cheetah and think of a woman in a catsuit, which, fair enough, that's technically accurate. But Cheetah is to Wonder Woman what the Joker is to Batman. She's not just a villain, she's a villain. The one that defines the hero by existing opposite to her. The most well-known version is Dr. Barbara Ann Minerva, a British anthropologist who first showed up in Wonder Woman number 7, Volume 2, back in August 1987. But the original Cheetah was actually Priscilla Rich, a socialite who debuted way back in Wonder Woman number 6 in September 1943, so the legacy goes deep. But it's Barbara Minerva's story that elevates this character from animal-themed bad guy into something genuinely disturbing. Here's what happened. Barbara found a sacred blade tied to an ancient ritual that was supposed to grant divine power. She cut herself on it, performed the ritual, and it worked, sort of. The catch: the ritual required the practitioner to be a virgin. Barbara was not, so instead of receiving a blessing, she received a curse. She was transformed into a were-cheetah permanently. Not a cool superhero transformation, a violation. The ritual punished her for daring to try, trapping her in a body that craved human flesh and drove her into uncontrollable bloodlust, which is, not ideal. But here's where it gets interesting. The immortal witch Circe approached Barbara and offered her a potion that changed everything. Instead of being a prisoner of the curse, Barbara gained permanent cheetah form with full conscious control. She could shift back to human at will. She could think clearly. She could choose. The thing that destroyed her life became the thing she mastered. And what a weapon it is. Cheetah possesses superhuman strength on par with Wonder Woman and actual demigods, combined with speed and agility that matches her namesake. Her claws can cut through Kryptonian invulnerability. Superman's skin, the thing that laughs at bullets and nuclear explosions, can be sliced open by her fingernails. Her bite is arguably worse. It carries a form of therianthropy that transforms victims into cheetah-like beings. This works works on basically everyone, including Kryptonians. She can literally infect Superman. On top of all that, she recently gained access to the Void Wind, one of 7 hidden forces underlying the entire DC universe. Nobody fully understands what this grants her yet, but tapping into a fundamental cosmic force puts her in a weight class most villains can't even see from where they're standing. Tom King's Wonder Woman run introduced a concept that reframes everything about her. The idea that if there is a Wonder Woman, there must also be a Cheetah, not as coincidence, as cosmic necessity. The universe requires both of them to exist. The one thing holding Cheetah back is her own mind. During intense combat, her feral instincts can take over completely, stripping away strategic thinking and reducing her to pure predatory behavior. Against weaker opponents, that's fine. Against Wonder Woman, it's the difference between a calculated threat and a wild animal. But if you think a cursed archaeologist with god-cutting claws is strange, wait until you meet the super-intelligent gorilla with mind control powers. Gorilla Grodd. Up until now, every member we've covered has been dangerous in a fairly straightforward way. They hit hard, they move fast, they have cool suits. Gorilla Grodd is where the Legion of Doom stops being a collection of powerful individuals and starts becoming something genuinely terrifying. Because Grodd doesn't just fight you. He rewrites what you think is real. Created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino, Grodd first showed up in The Flash Thrust 106 back in May 1959, and his origin story is exactly as unhinged as you'd expect from a late 50s comic. He's a super intelligent gorilla from Gorilla City, a hidden civilization of highly evolved apes in Africa. Already fantastic, but here's where it gets weird. Gorilla City originally existed on an entirely different planet called Kalar. The gorillas escaped by secretly latching onto Green Lantern Hal Jordan's energy trail as he flew through space, essentially hitchhiking across the cosmos without him ever noticing. Hal just accidentally brought an entire civilization of genius apes to Earth, which is, not ideal. Within Gorilla City, Grodd distinguished himself as the greatest scientific mind among an already exceptional population, but peaceful coexistence bored him. He wanted control, so he used his telepathic abilities to betray the city's leadership and seize power for himself, because apparently being the smartest gorilla alive just wasn't enough, and those telepathic abilities are no joke. Grodd can read minds, project psychic communication, mentally control other beings, translate any language through pure thought, and generate realistic illusions directly inside your brain. You could be standing in a completely empty room and Grodd could make you believe you're drowning in lava. His telekinetic powers are equally absurd. Force beam projection, telekinetic transmutation of matter, and the ability to mentally lift thousands of tons. Some narratives straight up portray him as the most potent telepath on the planet, surpassing even Despero and Martian Manhunter. In the Arrowverse, Team Flash had to build specialized adaptive metadampeners specifically because his powers kept evolving past every countermeasure they developed. Oh, you built a psychic blocker? Cool, I'm stronger now. Try again. But here's the part that nobody wants to sit with for too long. Grodd can absorb intelligence by consuming human brains. He literally eats people's minds and acquires their knowledge. That's not a metaphor. That's what he does. He can also lend others temporary telepathic capabilities by granting them a psychic connection, which he did with the Red Death. So not only is he the most dangerous psychic on the roster, he can make other villains psychic too. Great, add that to the list. The real demonstration of what Grodd is capable of came in the Flashpoint continuity, where he seized control of all of Africa using Gorilla City as his base of operations, killing countless humans and threatening the entire world. This isn't a villain who robs banks or fights one hero in an alley. Grodd operates at nation-state scale. He conquers continents. And that's what makes him the turning point for this roster. Every member before him is a threat you can punch. Grodd is a threat who can make you punch your own teammates and believe it was your idea. He doesn't just fight heroes. He makes heroes fight each other. But if a telepathic gorilla who eats brains and conquers continents sounds bad, wait until you meet the man who weaponized fear itself and built an entire army around it. Sinestro. Sinestro is the single most dangerous individual on the Legion of Doom roster, and it's not even close. Not because of raw strength, not because of speed, but because the man figured out something that fundamentally breaks the power scaling of the entire DC universe. He figured out that fear is a better fuel than courage. Let me explain. Sinestro first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 2 or 7 in August 1961, and here's what makes his backstory so compelling. He wasn't always a villain, he was a Green Lantern. One of the best, actually. The Guardians of the Universe handed him an entire sector to protect, and he did protect it. He just did it by conquering his home planet Korrigar and ruling it like a dictator, which is not ideal. The Corps found out, stripped him of his ring, and banished him to the antimatter universe. Most people would sit in exile and feel sorry for themselves. Sinestro found the weaponers of Qward and partnered with them to create the Yellow Power Ring. But here's where it gets genuinely brilliant. Green Lantern rings run on willpower. You need exceptional mental discipline and an almost superhuman ability to overcome fear just to make the thing work. The Yellow Power Ring runs on fear, and fear is everywhere. Every living thing in the universe experiences it. It is the single most abundant emotional resource in existence. So while the Green Lanterns are recruiting the bravest beings in the cosmos, a tiny pool of candidates, Sinestro has access to a power source that every sentient creature generates just by being alive. His constructs grow more powerful the more fear the wielder inspires. Read that again. If Sinestro terrorizes a planet, his ring gets stronger. If he terrorizes a solar system, stronger still. It's a feedback loop where successful fear campaigns make the user progressively more powerful. That's not just a superpower. That's an economic model built on psychological warfare. The ring itself is absurdly capable, flight approaching 80% of light speed with the potential to exceed it entirely. Survival in any environment, including the vacuum of space, wormhole creation, black hole navigation, cellular regeneration, force fields, and constructs limited only by imagination and mastery of fear. Before you dismiss him as just another ring wielder with a color swap, hear me out. Sinestro isn't just a guy with a yellow ring. He is the supreme leader of the entire Sinestro Corps. That means the Legion of Doom doesn't just get one fear-powered cosmic warrior, they get access to an army of yellow lanterns, every single one powered by the same inexhaustible fear energy, all answering to one man. That's not a member. That's a faction, and his morality makes him even more dangerous. During Blackest Night, when Nekron threatened to extinguish all life in the universe, Sinestro stepped up alongside the heroes to stop it. Then, he went right back to being a tyrant. He's not purely evil. He genuinely believes fear is the only reliable tool for maintaining order. He's a dictator with a philosophy, which is always worse than a dictator without one. But if you think one fear-powered conqueror with an army is a problem, wait until you hear about the member who collects entire civilizations in bottles, Brainiac. Every member of the Legion of Doom is dangerous, but Brainiac isn't dangerous in a way that any human brain can fully process. And I mean that literally. His real name is Vril Dox, a Coloan scientist created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino, first appearing in Action Comics number 242 back in 1958. And the very first thing he did was miniaturize and steal the entire Kryptonian capital city of Kandor. Not a building, not a block. The whole capital city. He shrunk it down, put it in a bottle, and added it to his collection like someone clipping a coupon. Here's where the scale of Brainiac becomes genuinely uncomfortable. He possesses a 12th level intellect. Sounds impressive on its own, but here's the context. The combined intelligence of every single human being alive on Earth, all 8 billion of us thinking together, registers as a 6th level intellect. Brainiac, one guy, doubles that. His individual mind exceeds the collective brain power of the entire human species. That's like holding a guitar pick across a football field and asking someone to read the brand name. The gap isn't close. It isn't competitive. It's not even a conversation. And he uses that intellect for one of the most disturbing villain motivations in all of comics. Brainiac's entire existence revolves around the acquisition and preservation of information. He travels from planet to planet, documents everything about the civilization living there, collects all their data, and then destroys the planet. His reasoning? Fewer beings possessing information makes that information more precious. He's not conquering worlds for power or resources. He's deleting them to increase the scarcity value of his personal hard drive. It's not evil in a human sense. It's evil in a spreadsheet sense, which is somehow worse. The bottle cities are the clearest expression of this philosophy. Kandor is the most famous, but it's not the only one. Brainiac miniaturizes entire civilizations, preserves them in sealed containers, and once he's extracted every piece of data he wants, he can shut off life support and digitize the contents. Living, breathing, people converted into pure data, filed away, forgotten. It's not a crime of passion, it's a filing system. His cybernetic headpiece allows him to interface directly with any technology and fire energy blasts powerful enough to significantly hurt Superman, who described the experience as blindingly painful. His technological mastery spans mechanical engineering, bioengineering, and theoretical sciences at levels that make human comprehension look like finger painting, but the thing that makes Brainiac truly unique on this roster is that he's not motivated by revenge, or ego, or even conquest. He just wants to know everything and make sure nobody else does. He even cloned himself once to create a lab assistant. That clone, Vrildox 2, became known as Brainiac 2, and spent a good chunk of his existence trying to distance himself from his creator's legacy. Generations later, his descendant Queruldox would become Brainiac 5, a member of the Legion of Superheroes actively trying to atone for the family name, which is, a lot of inherited therapy. Within the Legion, Brainiac provides the team with technology, strategic analysis, and intelligence gathering that no other member can match. But his cosmic scale ambitions and obsessive data fixation create natural friction with the group's leadership, because Brainiac believes he's the smartest mind in any room. And the problem is, he's almost always right. Almost. Because there's one other member of the Legion who would violently disagree with that assessment, Lex Luthor. His full name is Alexander Joseph Luthor, and the universe has been laughing at that name since 1940. Alexander comes from the Greek Alexandros, meaning defender of man. Luthor roughly translates to soldier of the people. Defender of man, soldier of the people, attached to one of the most selfish, petty, dangerous human beings ever committed to fiction. That's not irony. That's the universe doing stand-up. Here's the thing about Lex. He first showed up in Action Comics through 23, and for 20 years, nobody even bothered giving him a first name. He was just Luthor. That's how much of a force he was. It wasn't until Adventure Comics number 271 that someone finally said, "Oh, right, Lex." And honestly, the character didn't need it. But what makes Lex Luthor the leader of the Legion of Doom isn't strength. It's not psychic power, cosmic intellect, or divine curses. Every single member on this list outclasses him in at least one category. Grodd could melt his brain. Brainiac could calculate circles around him. Grundy could rip him in half like a phone book. And yet, every one of them answers to the bald guy in the suit, because Lex Luthor is, by most accounts, the single smartest non-alien being on the planet. The kind of mind that looks at Superman, a being who can bench press continents, and thinks, I can beat that. Not with fists, with psychology. Lex doesn't fight Superman. He fights Superman's humanity. He targets the doubts, the relationships, the fear of making the wrong call. He manipulates the people Superman loves, forces him to question his own decisions, and creates vulnerabilities that invulnerability literally cannot protect against. You can't punch your way out of an existential crisis, which is, not ideal when you're supposed to be saving the world. And the resources backing that intellect are staggering. LexCorp rivals Wayne Enterprises. He commands personal wealth, advanced technology, and the ability to manipulate global political and economic systems on a whim. The man literally ran for president of the United States and won, not as a stepping stone to some supervillain scheme, because he genuinely believed he was the most qualified person alive. I don't know what to tell you, but here's where it gets interesting. Lex's greatest weakness is the exact thing that makes him dangerous: his ego, his absolute, unshakable belief that he is always the smartest person in any room. Batman's contingency plans for Luthor don't exploit a physical vulnerability. They exploit the fact that Lex cannot conceive of being outmaneuvered. Tell him he's winning, and he'll walk right into the trap because he already assumed he was winning before you said anything. The smartest man alive, undone by his certainty that he's the smartest man alive. That's not a weakness. That's poetry. And yet, despite that flaw, he holds the Legion together. Think about what that actually requires. Grodd wants to rule everything himself. Brainiac's objectives operate on a cosmic scale that barely acknowledges Earth exists. Sinestro commands an entire corps with his own galactic agenda. Bizarro might interpret Attack the Justice League as Hug the Justice League, and Black Manta's obsession with one specific Atlantean sometimes overrides everything else. Lex manages all of them, not through fear, not through power, but through the simple fact that every member of the Legion is more dangerous with Lex Luthor pointing them in the right direction than they are alone. He doesn't need to be the strongest. He needs to be the one who makes strength useful. That's why he leads the Legion of Doom. Not because he's the most powerful member on the roster, because without him, the roster is just 8 apocalyptic threats stumbling over each other. With him, they're a unified force capable of threatening the entire Justice League. One man's ability to point every weapon in the same direction, that's the real superpower. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.